In this example, I've begun with the C, as described in the Australian curriculum. Students use phonics and word knowledge to fluently read complex words. Now, what I've shaded in grey is the entitlement of every student. Every student should be entitled to demonstrate their ability to use phonics and word knowledge to read words. What I've played with then to vary the level of performance are the modifiers. In this case, fluently goes to quality of the process. I've removed fluently from D and E. So student D uses phonics and word knowledge to read words. I've also changed the complexity of the words that they read. Instead of complex words, I've changed it to unfamiliar words. In the E standard, I've added some conditions under which students perform. They can use phonics and word knowledge to read words, but only with prompting. And the words they read are not only unfamiliar, but I've changed the number, quantitatively changed the standard so they read a small number of unfamiliar words. Then if I go to the higher performing students, I can see that I've added to the level of complexity. Not only are they reading fluently, what they're reading is more complex. They're reading unfamiliar and complex words, and not only words, but sentences as well. And in the A standard, they're not just reading unfamiliar and complex words, but the breadth of their learning has broadened because they can now read a range of unfamiliar, of complex words and sentences. You can see in this example, in the grey shading, that I have not changed the equity of access of every child to the same learning entitlement. They are all using phonics and word knowledge to read words. Some students are reading far more complex and their learning is broader. Other students need assistance to show that they can read words and the material they're reading is less complex. Now I can provide a secondary example that shows the same thing. Remember, the achievement standards are pitched at a C. This is how it reads in the Australian curriculum. Students plan and manage digital projects using an iterative approach. What I have not changed for any student is a description of what they are entitled to learn, which is to plan and manage digital projects. The rest qualifies the complexity, the breadth, or the conditions under which they're demonstrating their learning. And also, in this case, quality. So an A student is successfully planning and managing these projects. They're far more sophisticated and they're doing it in a much broader range of contexts for different purposes and audiences. And the quality of the processes that they're using is that they're comprehensive because they're using all the steps and they're transferring that learning to redesign what it is that they've designed in the first place based on feedback. Same as my B student, I've broadened the context in which they demonstrate their learning and increased the quality and the breadth of their learning because they're using all the steps. With the D student, they're planning and managing simple digital projects. So I've varied the complexity of the projects they're doing. And instead of an iterative approach, at this stage, they're able to plan and manage a project using a linear approach, not a circular one. And finally, the E student performs this task with assistance. They perform it once, a little bit of solo taxonomy here. They can do it, but we've only seen evidence of it once, and they've done it using a scaffolded approach. So again, the students are actually entitled to the same learning. This is drawn from the standard. It's the cognitive process and the content that stays the same. What we vary is the complexity, the quality, the breadth and depth, and the conditions.